A very, very warm greetings on India's Republic Day. Completed glorious 72 years. And hopefully the freedom will last long, forever and ever. It doesn't last long by itself, but we as citizens of India have to work to keep the spirit of freedom and independence, and we have to work towards that. I want to take the most trending video that's going around, and then I will end it with a story as always. Many of you may have seen Cyrus Barucha's video of interviewing young people. When you watch it, trendy young people and not so trendy young people from a metropolitan city, you can see that they are literate, not sure about being educated. And he asks questions about what does it mean? What happened on Republic Day? When did India get freedom? When did it get the constitution? And what's the difference between these two? Who is the current prime minister? And a lot of those stately questions. How many of you have seen that video? I think as teachers, we need to have a look at it. As adults, as parents, as significant adults, I think we need to look at it. Because the answers are far from being humorous. I would put it between shockingly ignorant to ridiculous answers. I wish I had the possibility to project it right now, but have a look. Bizarre answers. To the extent that I began to think about the questions that came in my mind. Is this being funny? Is it humor? Or is it a simple, another slapstick video that we borrow? You know, in America, you go around asking questions and young people don't have even an embarrassment of not knowing the answer or giving ridiculous answers, but that's cool. Or does it have a deeper sense of something we have lost? As a leader, as an educator, and as a citizen, what I sense is that we probably have driven the facts. We probably have given the milestones as stated in history book. We probably have allocated this teaching to only history teachers, not realizing that this history belongs to every one of us. This history belongs to all subjects. This history is part of our legacy. This history is what is defining us today. And that this history cannot be made irrelevant as a set of facts. And that this history is not something to mock about. What I realize or what I sense is that we probably will have to contextualize it. We were not born in the era of 1945, all of us. So we probably can have a hard time sensing the emotional climate, sensing the historical climate, sensing the ethos of being liberated from the British colonial past. We are born in the era of free India, all of us. And hence this freedom doesn't have a context to compare with. You can compare it, of course, with countries right now in the neighborhood. But you haven't lived it, or we haven't lived it. And we can only kind of get a visual imagery in BBC or in other news, and we quickly click and change it. So we don't get a sense or point of reference to be a slave, thus to be freed. Hence it becomes a set of facts that you finish reading, exams over, and you forget. And then after universities, after 5 years, when somebody is asking, you can even unapologetically say that Republic Day is to become Republic. I think it's something that we all need to think about, something that we all need to own. All of us, as you know that each of our subjects have a history. Doesn't language has a history? Doesn't science, each of the inventions and innovations and discoveries have a history? Well, even countries and continents when discovered had a history or found, so to say. Every mathematical equations, including zero, has a history. Unless we ourselves look at it in awe and the tremendous sense of a beautiful moment of knowing that aha moment that the historians had, I don't think we can absorb the essence of it. So I really request all of us to not delegate history to history subject teachers, because there are some things that it cannot be compartmentalized. One of it is India's freedom struggle, India's stories of becoming republic, India's stories of writing its constitution, and India's story of today celebrating 72 years of completion cannot be and should not be confined to one subject, one teacher, one level. This has to be something that we need to talk about, and not in terms of facts, but in terms of feelings, in terms of emotions, in terms of ethos, in terms of values. So I have a story for you. I'm going to have a little hard time to read this with all the lights. Yeah. I'm sharing this story. You all have heard it, probably you have read it. We have shared it with you in the context of India's republic, in the context of what we are going through with COVID. The story is called Sleeping Through the Storm. All of you know this story, but I thought it would be good to reread it. Years ago, a farmer owned land along the Atlantic seacoast. He constantly advertised for extra hands to mind his farm. Most people were reluctant to work on farms along the coast. They dreaded the awful storms that would rage across the Atlantic, wreaking havoc on the building and the farmland. As the farmer interviewed the applicants for the job, he received a steady stream of refusals. And finally, a short, thin man, well past middle age, approached the farmer. "Are you really a good farmhand?" Well, I can sleep very well when the wind blows, answered the little man. The farmer was a bit puzzled by this response to this interview question. In normal circumstances, he would have been a reject. But farmer was, he was the last resort, so to say. So he hires this man. The little man worked well round the farm, busy from dawn to dusk, and the farmer felt satisfied that he found a good helping hand. Then one night, the wind blew loudly in from the offshore. Jumping out of the bed, the farmer grabbed a lantern and rushed next door to the hired hand's sleeping quarters. He shook the little man and yelled, "Get up! A storm is approaching. Tie the things down before they blow away." The little man rolled over in bed and said firmly, "No, sir, I told you, I can sleep through the storm." Enraged by this man's response, the farmer was tempted to fire him on the spot. Instead, he hurried outside to prepare for the storm. To his amazement, he discovered that all of the haystacks have been covered with tarpaulins. The chickens were in the coops and the doors were barred. The shutters were tightly secured and everything was tied down neatly. Nothing could blow away. The farmer then understood what his hired hand meant when he said that he can sleep through the storm. Why am I sharing this story? It's not that storm is something that we can control and influence. What we can control and influence is the preparedness. Whether it is for the nation state, storms are a reality. Political storm, economic storm, social storms, communal storms, interreligious conflict storms are a reality. What should we do? Is to tightly secure the values of our students. They would be part of the storm and we would be part of the storm. We would be blown if we do not prepare the youth for future storms. And for the current storm with the pandemic, once again it reminds us that yes, we can sleep through or at least get those 40 wings power naps now and then to we secure our self-care. Systems have to have their things tied very clearly because we cannot and will not be able to permanently close schools. We will have to tie the loose ends, whether it is about the processes, policies, procedures, and ready for the lockdown, shutdown, open, this tip-tap sequences. And it almost looks like the storm is every day, every alternate day. It is exhausting. But we cannot afford to lose the system and we cannot afford to be blown away. So we got to be on our toes. What do people do in the system? Take care of yourself. Fasten your seat belt, wear your oxygen mask, and be ready to help others. I think it's a very beautiful example of self-care first and take care of others, because once you take care of yourself, there is a ripple effect of helping each other. And what do our students do? I think they need to understand if they want to sleep through the storm, they need to work when there is no storm. And that is on 3 dimensions. That they cannot afford to let go this learning opportunity, that they have to become agents of change, agents of self-responsibility in whatever learning process that's happening. They cannot afford to lie low on that front, because you never know how long the storm, how long the close down, how long the online learning process is happening. The second important thing is that while it doesn't look very cool to do yoga and the fitness and the dietary regimen and sleep routines, that's the only way you can take care of yourself when the next storm blows. And the storm will blow in our own self, in our own health landscape. And the third and the most important thing is to take care of one's own emotions. That's a bigger storm that doesn't really have those very obvious pimples on the face kind of eruptions, but it is stealthy, slow, and self-destroying. That means we got to manage our emotions. We got to find solutions. We got to find an adult to anchor with, to speak with, so that we, as an entire community of stakeholders in an education system, can sleep through the storm the next time it blows on our face. Thank you.